Good morning, everybody. We made it. It's Friday. Wow. Well, before we get into today's decode, here are the headlines regarding the adverse reactions for the vaccine that is supposed to be safe and effective. And there's nothing more safe than driving a car away from a mass vaccination site that causes people to faint, and driving that car into traffic and on freeways when as many as close to 26 people experience fainting spells and all kinds of other stuff after driving away from this North Carolina VC site after taking the J&J VC. So I wanted to give you guys that update. Really weird stuff, hiding in plain sight. I mean, when you go and get these kinds of shots in clinics, they'll sit there and monitor you for 15 minutes. But for some reason, it's okay to have a drive-through where people can pass out behind the wheel and hurt somebody. I mean, these people are asking for a lawsuit. Because if that happens, and I'm sure it has already, accidents caused by people driving away from these sites, then those people could sue because they were told this was safe and effective, right? But I'm sure there's some kind of disclaimer in the paperwork when you get this that says you can't sue, and probably you're giving away your rights when you sign the sheet of paper. I don't know. Has anyone done this yet? Do you have to sign a sheet of paper when you get this? I don't know. Anyway, we're supposed to believe this is perfectly normal for you to pass out after getting injected with something in your bloodstream. Why don't we try this? How about we do like a real test, like real clinical trials, and compare people getting a shot of just regular saline or something into your bloodstream and compare that to what happens to you when you get the vaccine. My guess is that probably nobody would pass out from the saline. So that tells you it's doing something to your body that your body does not like. And your body's trying to shut down from that. But who am I, right? So let's get into this final decode of The Invasion. Now, this was a 2007 film that predicted everything that we're going through right now. Mass vaccinations. People standing in line for shots, and then having their DNA replaced by emotionless aliens. Now, here's where things get really weird, because in the film, everything that is happening now is happening in the film. And it's crazy because it's black folks who are the most skeptical of this jab in the film. And they tell Nicole Kidman to show no emotion, not to sweat. And gives her advice and tells her you can pass as a converted alien human by simply not showing emotion. Now, later in the show, we are going to talk about what it means to take the step. What is take the step? Well, this was a prominent ad campaign in the film in which they are trying to brainwash people into getting the shot. And the ad campaign is take the step. Well, we figured it out. Now, more of the backdrop of this movie. This organism comes from a crashed space shuttle, and the debris hits the Earth and spreads this virus, and it quickly begins infecting mankind. Now, it's interesting because there's another series on TV called Debris, which has exactly the same plot line. Is this a mistake? I think not. Let's say hi to you guys. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We'll be back on here live again tomorrow as well. But let's get back into this. And we're going to cover 2 trailers that I did. This one we had to put on the backup channel because they came after us on this one. So there was this organism. And it's crazy because the organism even looks like the CV19 spike protein. let's play some of this so I can show you this. This is off the rails.
Calm down. You can fool them, but you gotta calm down.
So here are the black folks here, and they're onto it. And it's interesting because both people that try to give her advice are African American. That's exactly what's happening right now, you guys.
Don't show emotion.
You're sweating. They don't do that, they'll know. Now go away from here.
Then they can't tell who's who.
John.
Stay calm.
What is it? Our biotechs are in full meltdown mode. This is a highly resilient organism, able to survive the bitter cold of space and the searing heat of re-entry.
And there it is. There's the spike protein. It looks exactly like the CV. Now, I know all spike proteins look the same, but isn't it interesting that this is what they show here?
Initial cellular diagnostics show it exhibits monoploid characteristics, both commonalities to an endospore. Spore? Jesus. One thing's for sure, it ain't from around here.
We should walk to school every morning. This is nice.
You wouldn't say that if it was raining. If it were raining.
Now, we talked all about twinning and how there's been a twin birth explosion that emerged out of the CV-19 spamdemic. It's on the news. They're saying that now all of a sudden all these twins are being born, and we predicted that would happen. And so, of course, they're going to show you the twins here. And we also talked at length about the serpent in the chest, which is demon possession. It's basically the infecting of the host body. This can be more easily done when the flesh is cloned or is inbred with the blue bloodline. That's why Superman has a blue costume. And so the little boy dresses up as Superman.
If it were raining. But what if it rains tonight?
I checked the weather report, 45 and clear. No rain.
Go on, Superman.
Half an hour.
Go on, Superman.
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson.
Each year, the flu claims tens of thousands of American lives.
Our studies show this new virus is more communicable and lasts longer than more common strains of flu.
So all of these clips that you're seeing right here are all from this film. I want to be very clear because sometimes we interweave these different clips into the montages, but in this particular instance, these are all from the film. And so it's weird because this is exactly what we're going through right now.
You'd figure with numbers like these, the government would realize that we are facing nothing less than a national medical emergency.
The CDC has begun emergency meetings today to decide how to contain it and keep it from getting any worse. This flu season could be the deadliest in 30 years.
We think an inoculation program is our best shot at keeping this under our thumb.
Now, this guy is an alien, and he's acting like a human, and he's standing in front of a bunch of pharmaceutical companies, and he's going to bid out the production of the vaccine. All right. And this woman asks, she's one of the pharmaceutical companies, how is it that you barely identified this thing and you're already coming out with a vaccine? This is exactly what's happening right now.
I wish there were more time to go over all of the science and the internal processes behind this project.
I'm curious. If you just cracked this new virus, how are you ready with vaccines so quickly?
How are you ready with vaccines so quickly? How are you ready with vaccines so quickly?
If you require more information, I'd suggest you bow out of this round of contracts and give us some time to prepare you a fact sheet.
Just a question.
Well, we like those. We like questions. They got you to the moon.
So obviously that's a reference to the moon hoax, right? And we all believe that because people love questions, and as long as you give them an answer, they'll believe the answer. Now, behind them, his alien counterparts, who are the servers serving the coffee, vomit into the coffee, and they infect all the people at the meeting so they can be mind controlled as well.
I'm sorry to bother you so late. I need to ask you a few questions for the Census Department.
Now, this part's creepy because here you get the census worker aspect to all this. Now, we are currently in the midst of a census. This is what I call time markers in a film. When these older films, you'll get this time marker that marks a point in time in the future from when the film was released. They're foretelling a future event, and they mark the time in history in the future when the event will take place with a specific event that's coming up. In this instance, it's the census, which is happening right now.
I haven't heard from her. Maybe it's that flu going around.
Of course, the whole backdrop of this is the flu, right?
I'll call her.
We're doing a census of your district this month. Not the extended paper census, but a quick door-to-door version to update our records.
These are also spent cells. Exploded, actually.
Are they viral?
Viral light, but larger than any virus known.
At this time of night?
Deadline. We're working all night now. You're my last house. I saw your light. I came a few times.
You can ask me through the door.
I tried to destroy some. Heated them up to see when they'd incinerate. Took them up to 700 degrees. They survived.
Well, that's impossible.
Yeah. They've settled on an interesting hypothesis. That what we're dealing with is a complete, intelligent entity, the dimensions of only a few cells, that's invading people's bodies, integrating their DNA.
Integrating their DNA.
Integration of alien DNA could look like anything.
Or nothing at all.
Could look like anything or nothing at all. Why are they trying so hard for everybody on the planet to get this jab?
And reprogramming their genetic expression overnight.
Reprogramming their genetic expression.
Reprogramming? How would that look?
Well, 80% of what we are and what we do is determined by our genetic expression. Also in Japan. But here, we're just talking about this flu.
So you say that this is showing up all over?
It's starting to. They began considering epidemic protocols in Europe last night.
People are dying. What are you really covering up, huh?
So this is her ex-husband, and she's like, what are you really covering up? Remember, he was the guy that was at the front trying to get this jab mass-produced and mass-distributed, just like we're experiencing right now. And she asked him, what are you really covering up?
What is it? You got people lining up like this is smallpox or something.
You got people lining up like this is smallpox or something.
And that's exactly what's going on right now. Why are they having people lined up all around the planet? Why?
The agenda for today's G8 summit was the growing concern of the medical community over the escalating cases of this mysterious flu virus.
This will help you sleep. You have a place for you to lie down.
Carol, are you here for your shot?
Are you here for your shot? Are you here for your shot?
I have
your shot.
Be a good patriot and take your Jabberwocky.
Are you here for your shot?
I had mine last night. I'm glad to hear that.
Now we're going to get into this Take the Step ad campaign, and this is going to melt your mind because it's going to sink in for a lot of people who are still on the fence about what all this is, because there's a medical term, a brain protein called STEP. Take the step. Now, after this montage, I did a second montage that we'll get into after this one that documents the Take the Shot or Take the Step ad campaign and shows you how this very campaign is also happening right now.
What are you really inoculating them for, Tucker? Huh? Tell me. Open the goddamn door! Open the door!
Doesn't hurt. Watch. It's just like catching a cold.
So he vomits in her face to try to infect her, and at this point, she can't fall asleep anymore. Now, chances are, whatever it is they're doing to us is already in the environment. And if you fall asleep, spiritually, it will overtake you.
Fort Detrick went into lockdown mode this afternoon. They're running some simulations now. The numbers they're estimating are incredible. It transmits like a virus or bacterium through exchange of fluids, a kiss, an injection. Bacterium through exchange.
Now, this guy, later in his career, plays a clone. Is it sinking in yet? In the series Westworld, he plays a clone, an android, converted from a human.
Exchange of fluids, a kiss, an injection.
All units, please be advised. Inoculations have begun.
So this is the National Guard, and of course they're in charge of making this happen in the film, and they're in charge of it now.
Cal 42, National Guard Commander, 56th Street to assist in crowd control.
Her sister gave her the chicken pox.
Well, it might not be a normal encephalitis. There's acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, which is ADEM.
Now, the only people immune to this alien plague in the film are people who have ADEM, ADEM, which is a type of pre-exposure, an encephalitis that causes brain swelling. And I believe what they're really saying here is that those who are saved by Jesus, Yeshua, the blood of the Lamb, the Adamic bloodline, the pure blood gene, those are the ones that will be saved and immune.
The reason why the virus hasn't been able to attack the system.
3 years ago, Oliver got the chicken pox. He'd had his shots, but they told me it was a new strain, and in the middle of it, he had these horrible fever dreams. His Dolly might be immune.
She had ADEM as a child.
Ah, substantia alba, interesting.
What I'm thinking is that if she's immune...
Maybe we have causality.
Now, what's going on right here? Well, you dial *66, and there's 6 photos here. So that's 666. And this is how you report people that have not been converted yet. Does this ring a bell? 66th floor penthouse, the originator of the VCs himself, the trump card, the Joker, Batman, all wrapped in one. Started this whole thing. The man in the mirror, remember? Now, in the film, lots of money is spent on the V-scene, just like now, right? And what this V-scene does is it causes people to lose emotion. And what this does is it brings about world peace.
Federal Hill, Fells Point, City Center.
Yes, that's right.
Good.
There are the 3 eggs. Those represent the Russian dolls or clones. Pharmaceutical companies have agreed to start issuing free AIDS vaccine VCs to all afflicted third world countries, effective immediately. The $400 billion program would be the largest fiscal spending since that word.
If I fall asleep, I'm gonna need you to give me a shot.
Now, I feel like that is really tantamount to the stimulus bill that we are all getting right now. Now, this part's crazy because she gets this epinephrine, which we know degrades into the word that shall not be named, chrome for Madrino. And she asked the boy to inject this into her heart if she falls asleep because she does not want to be converted.
To put it here in my heart is the plunger. I know it seems scary, but what about Ollie?
There is no room in our world for someone who is immune.
And there's no room for someone in their world who is immune, which would be Adam. People that had Adam. Right? There's no room for us in this world. And that's what Jesus told us. You're no part of this world. If you're trying so hard to be part of this world and this race and to make a bunch of money and be cool, there's no place for us in this world because you have to get the Jabberwocky in order to be that now, right? And so many people are giving in because they want to love this world. They're like Lot's wife running back to Sodom and Gomorrah.
There is no room in our world for someone who is immune.
Every means available to spread the vaccine to as many people as possible.
So they spread this by helicopter. We saw this. We saw that in the first CARES Act, they were actually, there's a study on how to distribute, what was it? How to distribute food and things like that. Food delivery with drones. This was actually in the CARES Act. What do you think they're really going to deliver? Not food.
There is no room in our world for someone who is immune.
Every means available to spread the vaccine to as...
Now, someone mentioned this flag. I don't know what this flag is, but... Oh, I think this is South Africa.
many people as possible.
Several scientists are reporting that identifying the immunity gene is the first step in creating a viable cure to the
Survivors are
pandemic.
using food and water supplies.
Pockets of the immune began to grow across the country rapidly, retaking control of major cities.
Leading scientists convened in Washington today to update the president on the continued efforts to eradicate the global pandemic.
It was so easy to cure. The alien virus seems to have no real defense system. Once we isolated the vaccine, the result was inevitable.
And this was to subliminally give you confidence that once they have the VC, it's 99% effective, right? Or 95%. There's no natural immunity. This is to make you just go get it, right? Especially after you watch a film like this.
What we believe is that the way the entity plugged itself into our brain was so different from how we're actually wired that the mind interpreted the alien experience as a form of unconsciousness. Those who've been cured have no recollection of recent events. They experienced everything as though they were asleep.
Does this mean it's over?
Over.
The alien virus, has it been eradicated?
Inoculation centers throughout the globe are experiencing high levels of success in curing and immunizing their populations.
So let's get into this second trailer. Now, this is crazy because the Take the Step ad campaign that you saw is happening right now. Let me make sure we're connected first. All right, everybody seems to be in. Let's watch this second trailer. Now, these are the closing credits in the film. And as you see, that is a CORONA, is it not? That's what they're depicting here. And that word is the word that they named the spamdemic that's happening right now. You guys, this was 2007. This came out. And they were already pre-programming us for this.
Carol, are you here for your shot?
Are you here for your shot? Are you here for your shot?
I had mine last night. I'm glad to hear that.
COVID-19 has changed how we express our faith and gather to worship.
Now, what are you looking at here? This is actually a clip from a very real and current ad campaign. And it's all about taking the step, just like in the film. And it's targeting black folks, saying if you want to go back to church and worship, you got to take the first step.
Try to calm down. You can fool them, but you gotta calm down. Don't show emotion.
We all want to get back to how we pray, how we congregate.
You're sweating. If they don't do that, they'll know. Now go away from here.
Then they can't tell who's who. John. Stay calm.
Now it's time to take the first step. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to spreading the word without spreading concern.
That's the first step. That's the first step. That's the first step.
Now, of course, that is Bo Mama. And here's the problem with this picture, because he got together with all of the presidents that he swore to hate or hated him, got us all angry at each other. You guys, I was in Arkansas several months ago, and the people there still believe that all these presidents are different, or some of the people there believed. I heard a couple comments from some people I ran into. They said when Obama was president, those were really hard years. Well, doesn't that make you upset that he's hanging out with Bush and Clinton after they made us all hate each other? There's something wrong with that. There was no kumbaya moment where they all got together and say, hey, let's try to knock this off, and moving forward, let's talk to the other presidents and let's stop all this infighting, red versus blue. No, because if there was, we wouldn't have had what happened with Trump. But yet here we are, and they just act like history didn't happen. They just act like Bo Mama didn't hate Bush and Bush didn't hate Bo Mama, because they don't really hate each other. It's a game to make you feel like you want to hate your brother and sister. You see the problem here? And so they're all coming together in a bipartisan effort to make you go get your Jabberwocky. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. Now, some people will try to spin this as a positive and go, that's a good thing that they're all getting back together. Well, what is the use that they're all getting back together if it hasn't brought peace between the right and the left? They're pushing the divide on purpose. They're only getting together here and showing their true colors so that they can, it's a last-ditch effort to get as many people as they can to get the Jabberwocky. This is crazy.
To ending the pandemic and moving our country forward.
Now it's time to take the first step. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts.
Here's another ad campaign. One more step to no more CV-19. A separate ad campaign. This one is in Nevada. Again, targeting black folks. And there it is. It's everywhere in the film. Take the Step. Now, for those of you that are still tuned in, your mind's going to be blown away here in a second.
To help you sleep.
Now it's time to take the first step.
That's the first step.
As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Everywhere. Take the step.
Now it's time to take the first step.
That's the first step.
You're sweating. If they don't do that, they'll know. Now go away from here.
Don't show emotion. Then they can't tell who's who.
John.
Stay calm.
Stand away from the doors. Subway doors are now closing. Stand away from the doors. Subway doors are now closing.
Summit was the growing concern of the medical.
Now, what is the STEP? Well, it's an acronym for striatal enriched protein tyrosine phosphatase. That is STEP, and for short they call it PTPN5, as you see on your screen here. Now, what does this do? Let's read about it. STEP levels are disrupted in several diseases. Alzheimer's was the first illness to be associated with elevated STEP expression. And also Fragile X syndrome, schizophrenia, and Parkinson's all are associated with elevated STEP. Well, what happens when you take away the STEP expression? What happens when you block it? You get zombie-like, emotionless, mind wipe symptoms. Huntington's, alcohol. Now, what does STEP do? It regulates neural pathways. And when you don't have enough of it, your emotions are blocked. Now I'm going to show you the evidence for this. They call it emotional blunting, just like in the film. So when you take the STEP, you're actually blocking the emotions. Now, here they talk about it. Huntington's, as you saw there. And it says that the symptoms are emotional blunting. And patients with Huntington's that don't have enough STEP have symptoms like reduced display of emotion, emotional impairments, memory loss of one's life, or brain wipe, slowness of movement, abnormal facial expression, writhing motions, abnormal posturing, slowed eye movements, and lack of coordination, unintentional or uncompleted motions, jerky, random, and uncontrollable movements. This is starting to sound like the script instructions for an extra appearing in a zombie movie. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about people with Huntington's. It's a very horrible disease. But are you guys starting to understand what's going on here? When you take the STEP protein, it causes these symptoms. So how are they going to take the step? Well, there are some step blockers. We're going to get into that in a minute. But the other thing that happens when you take the step is your memory gets wiped. And they think this is why people forget what they did when they're drunk. And I'm starting to wonder if this is the body snatcher's emotional brain wipe, because that's what it does. Now, what else do we have here? Here, more documentation. I'll put all this in the pinned comment. I'm not going to go through these very long studies, but suffice to say, everything that I just said is true. Cognitive impairments common to HD, Huntington's disease patients, are loss of initiative, poor perseverance, impaired judgment, and emotional blunting. This is what they were really talking about. Now, here's another study here talking about the emotional blunting in Huntington's. Memory wipe. STEP. Now, there's a medication in trials that takes the STEP protein. It inhibits it by blocking it. The medication is called TC2153. And they're saying that it's supposed to be a cure for Alzheimer's. Remember, too much STEP and you get Alzheimer's. Too little STEP and you turn to a zombie. Now, guess who's working on this STEP inhibitor? GlaxoSmithKline. Let me show you that. Inhibition. Several STEP inhibitors have now been discovered. GlaxoSmithKline chose STEP as a new project for their discovery partnerships with academia in 2014. Remember Trump's pick for Warp Speed? He was career GlaxoSmithKline. They've since fired him for quote-unquote harassment, but I think that was just all a show to separate themselves from him. Now, so far, the only connection that I can find between emotional blunting and the vaccines are what some people have reported after taking it. So, we can't definitively tell you why or what the mechanism of action is, how or if the vaccine involves specifically the STEP protein. But there's something happening with people's emotions. Some people, when they get it. Now, I don't know enough about mRNA to see how this all might fit together. But what is clear to me is the pre-programming in the film, and that tells the whole story. We're being invaded, and it has something to do with the vaccines. Look at all the people in line, you guys. Look at all the people in line. Let's play the rest of this here.
Community over the escalating cases of this mysterious flu virus.
Now it's time to take the first step.
That's the first step.
What are you really covering, huh? What is it? You got people lining up like this is smallpox or something.
You got people lining up like this is smallpox or something.
The agenda for today's G8 summit was the growing
We think an inoculation program is our best shot at keeping this under our thumb.
I wish there were more time to go over all of the science and the internal processes behind this project.
I'm curious. If you just cracked this new virus, how are you ready with vaccines so quickly?
How are you ready with vaccines so quickly? How are you ready with vaccines so quickly?
If you require more information, I'd suggest you bow out of this round of contracts and give us some time to prepare you a fact sheet.
Just a question.
Well, we like those.
So, somebody had said that we repeat too much in these videos, and I beg to differ strongly. We don't repeat enough, because if we were repeating enough, then you wouldn't see all these people going in to get the Jabberwocky. So there's the evidence of the pre-programming. Now it's up to you guys to get this out to as many people as possible so they can see what was already planned. This isn't just one film either. Every day we upload pre-programming from the past showing what is playing out right now. So even if you think these particular connections aren't that strong, then look at yesterday's show or the day before that or the day before that or tomorrow's show. It never stops, because that is the sole purpose of entertainment. It's programming to get you prepared for the agenda they already have written out years and years in advance. So let's go into the chat for a little bit. And again, I'll put all of those papers and studies in the pinned comment so you can look at it for yourself and look at what STEP means. Okay. Now I got to give a shout out to a subscriber, and I can't remember who it was, but in the comments section, I try to read all the comments. They said that STEP probably stands for something. I wouldn't think that they would be so out in the open with it, but then I went and I looked up what STEP stands for, and up pops this brain protein that when you don't have enough of it, it takes your emotions away. Crazy, right? So thanks to this is a group effort. That's why it's really hard to criticize this channel, because we use all of the people that come to the channel's information to get down to the bottom of things. And of course, we're guided by the Holy Spirit. And then we all work together to come up with this stuff. So it's not just one person making a bunch of stuff up and making you listen to what I'm trying to tell you to say or think. It comes from all of us working together. I would have never thought that STEP stood for something, but yet there it was. So, all right. You know, the elite use repetition all the time. That's how they brainwash people. So if someone tells me not to repeat something, they're basically saying that they want to give the elite the upper hand in programming you and give the truth the lower hand in not being able to unprogram you. That's what you're saying when you're saying I'm repeating things too much, because they do it every single day. That's why you're bombarded with all of these ads, and you're bombarded with all these news headlines, with all these things that they want you to think. So we have to be more wise and understand why we have to show something, because it doesn't quite sink in. Because if it sunk in, you would have remembered that film from years ago, and you would have said, wow, it's kind of like what's happening now. But it isn't until you see it repeated that you understand what's going on. All right. Thanks, Tom, for modding for us this morning. I know, it really is unbelievable, isn't it, Kelly? It really is. Now, keep an eye on the people that you love that have decided to take the Jabberwocky. And take notice of their behavior. Are they acting different? Are there any nervous twitches, any skin things going on? Breathing? Are they acting different, like emotionless? So Carla says, block the trolls. Carla, call out the trolls for us. And we got K-Small and Tom in the chat who can handle that. But you got to call them out, because I don't know who it is. Maybe you guys time them out. I don't care if someone disagrees, but if they're over here harassing people and all that, then they got to go. So, Okay. Yeah. You guys noted that we can't. YouTube doesn't like us to talk about people that have passed away. You're not allowed to do that, but yet mainstream media can do it. So Philip is gone. 99 years old on the 99th day of the year. When you flip 99 around, it's 66. All this is programming. That's what it's for. It's like some kind of sorcery. So that's what's going on with that. Anna's neighbor got the Jabberwocky and she says he's aggressive. Yeah, this has to be the last generation. What are we at, Generation Z now? As we start over again. Is this Generation Z? I don't know. Now, we're going to talk about some strange move that Bo Jiden's making. He's actually saying that he's not going to get behind a national passport or a VC passport. That's weird because obviously that's a great thing, but what's really behind this? So we're going to look at that. Also, the Who's Home organization is also saying that it's against human rights to come up with something like that. So we'll see how all this plays out. But, the national ID is still on the table. And of course, Bo Jiden passed some legislation and wants to come up with a national red flag law, agreeing with Trump. Remember, Trump was endorsing these red flag laws, but he didn't believe at the federal level that he can do this widespread. But he encouraged the states to all pick it up. And now he handed it off to Bo Jiden, and Bo Jiden's going to, or wants to have a federal, nationwide red flag law. Now, what would that mean? Well, we'll get into that in the future show because this is not a good thing because they've already labeled the people with the letter that shall not be named as crazy. And anyone that doesn't believe that the election was real, someone could write a paper on you and send in a 1-page form to the local judge, and they'll show up at your door and say, "Hey, we need to take your means of self-defense because you think this and you think that." And that's dangerous thinking. And you fit a profile that could end up, you could be the person that could end up hurting a bunch of people. So we'll just take those for you for a while. This is where it's headed. So thanks to Trump and thanks to Bo Jiden for their efforts in bipartisan removal of your rights. Gotta love it. That's why I tell you, anytime the right and the left get together to do something, look out, run the other way. VCs, red flag laws, these are the big white elephants in the room. These are the things that we should be focused on because this is what they need. Once the means of self-defense are gone, then they can pass whatever law they want because there will be no fear. They won't be afraid anymore to do it because they know that what are people going to do? Can't protest anymore. After what happened at the Capitol, you can't raise up an army. Not that I would recommend that, but there are a lot of people that do feel that way. Like, hey, we're gonna do what we need to do. Well, they haven't done it yet, and things have gone off the rails, so they're probably never going to do it. There's going to come a point where they're just going to take all of your means of self-defense because they'll say your views are skewed. You have extreme views. Now, I think now's probably a good time to go over this. I wonder if I have it still pulled up. There was some weird study talking about far right-wing people. Where'd it go? I don't think I have it pulled up anymore. Anyway, and they had a bunch of YouTube channels listed. Now, it's weird. I wasn't listed in this study, but a lot of my peers were. Many of them, in fact, almost most of them. And I don't know, many of you have probably seen this study. I think it's been around for a while. And It's crazy. Like all the people that I know on YouTube were listed in there as having extreme right-leaning views. And they were talking about the echo chamber and how this was affecting online thought. And I thought that was really weird that study was out there. So they're watching people. They're watching people. So, all right. Yeah, he was. A lot of people were on there. Even really mellow people like Nicholson were on there. Couldn't believe it. Now, you would think that you'd be able to sue somebody for putting you in a study like that without your consent and labeling you as something you're not. Yeah, he was on there. Who else was in there? KJ was in there, and a bunch of other people. Where's that study at? Let me see if I have that. Why did I close that? Let me see here. Oh, here, let's do this. Is this it? I think this might be it. Did you guys see this? This is a real study. I think they're all listed back here. Yeah, I think this is it. Data, acknowledgements. Oh, there's like a table. Oh, here it is. Is this it? Anyway, some of you have heard of this study before. And basically, this is what it is. So they've got everybody. Now, this was a 2020 study, I believe. And they had this whole chart. Now, I had looked up the people that were responsible for this study. And it was an organization that basically wants to mind control the world. See if I could find it. I guess I closed it. Sorry, guys. Anyway, they wanted to mind control the world. That's what their goal was. And we'll probably just do another show on that and do it justice because it's something you guys need to see. I wonder if K Smalls was on there. I don't think you were. But crazy times, you guys. Crazy times. Yeah, everybody hit that thumbs up button if you can, if you haven't already. It's all we really ask you to do on this channel is share it, share the information. Yeah. Now they had left-leaning channels in the study as well, but they only did that as like a benchmark. And they were talking about how the right-leaning, far right-leaning channels were influencing social media. And how YouTube was causing, that they were creating an echo chamber by recommending videos from these channels. So, okay. Yeah, don't take another step. All right, you guys, I'm going to end the show there. Appreciate everybody coming out today. We will see you tomorrow. I think we actually have a show tomorrow on Saturday. I think it's like right about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I will see you guys then. Much love.